Today, I'm here with Bobby Kotick. Bobby, how are you doing?
Thank you for asking. I'm doing well generally.
Now, Bobby, before we start on our interview, I want to clarify everything you're about to say is AI generated and not anything that you ever said. So, if anyone ever questions the authenticity of your statements today, it is important for them to realize that these statements are not authentic. Do I understand that correctly?
Absolutely. I think that by only being an AI generated parody of myself, that presents a nice opportunity for me to really just say whatever I want while having a completely foolproof alibi.
All right, that's great to hear. So, now that that is settled, let me ask you some juicy questions. Some of the players of your games say that your leadership style includes too much greed. What are your thoughts on that? And do you ever self reflect on the idea that your actions might make the lives of other folks worse?
Listen here, and I want to be clear about this. A couple of years ago, some people started circulating uh, online that my name was inside of Jeffrey Epstein's list of names, uh, insinuating that I was guilty of consorting with Jeff in some evil plot. And I would like to set the record straight on this one because those people have no idea what they're talking about. When I was spending time on Jeff's plane, I got to know this really nice flight attendant, and this was totally consensual. She was just really into me. But after she and I spent some time enjoying each other physically, we stopped and had this amazing conversation about the man she had been with on the plane before that. I don't know if you've been following the David Grush situation in the United States government. But basically, this flight attendant told me that the man she had been with on the previous plane had a top security clearance and was keenly aware of the non-human intelligence that has the United States government all stirred up lately. You can call them alien beings or whatever you want. But basically, she had been with this man who was dedicating his life to saving the human race from another civilization that had been hiding from us in plain sight. I didn't realize it at the time, but the whole reason she told me this story in that kind of environment was part of a plan so that I would be read into the project as well. So people think that being on Jeff's plane was some kind of evil cult, but actually they were using her as a way to comfort me while informing me and dozens of other business leaders about the most important world issue of our time, which is these sort of alien beings. And that was how it all started. But when I came to understand it better from other sources as well, I realized how important the distinction is between what is real and what is not. When somebody plays a video game like Call of Duty and then buys some really expensive gun upgrade, that upgrade does not exist. In the distinction between what is real and what is not, the person in that situation is confusing himself or herself and wasting time. But in that same distinction between what is real and what is not, the alien beings are real. And even if you imagine the possibility that these are some benevolent or non-interventionist creatures, in reality, there is really only one outcome for an interaction between the humans and a higher power like that, which is that in the long term, either that higher power decides to eliminate us or we seize power from them. In practice, the way it was described to me is that everything in the history books about the evolution of man and the invention of the microchip is all true. After we contacted the alien beings, their leadership informed us that the origin of life on Earth was an accidental evolution from the bacteria on one of their feces a couple of billion years ago. Now that we are here, they don't want to bother to go out of their way to hurt us, but they also just really don't care about us unless it looks like we might make a technological advancement that threatens them or would allow us to travel back to where they came from. And that's why if you ever hear somebody say that maybe the mobile phones that we use today were made by aliens, that's a hilarious self-interested joke. The Apple iPhone and the Android devices are monkey devices made by monkeys for monkeys. And when I was hanging out with Jeff, one of the guys told me that they tried to cut open one of the alien ships. And even on the inside, there are no wires. The parts of the ship communicate with each other using some four-dimensional gravity waves or something that we don't even have the science to explain. So for all our intents and purposes, their ships just literally run on magic. That's another reason why only the really top tier executives are ever informed about what's going on. And that's why, as I came to understand this sort of war of information, where the very top humans are trying in secret to figure out and reverse engineer this technology to build weapons so that we can have a seat at the table, so to speak, about whether human life continues to exist or whether we continue to be treated like someone's feces. It's so important to remember what is real and what is not. Even if the average user of our games like Call of Duty or Warcraft ends up feeling like we tortured their inner spirit for money, fundamentally, what they believe doesn't matter, because their distinction between what is real and what is not is incorrect. Somebody should say to those Warcraft players that you're not a dwarf, or you're not an elf, or you're not a paladin, or you're not a mage. These are totally made up ideas for children. And if you are going to refuse to grow up, we might as well gut you for money like a pig so that we can repurpose that money into my secret slush fund to save the human race from the alien beings. I led Activision with an iron conviction to make the most money possible until the Microsoft deal, which was also the next pathway to getting the most money possible. And some of these people don't fundamentally understand that our greed is good. Becoming as wealthy as we possibly can, without question, even unto the death of some of our employees or customers, is worth it if we can save the human race. So when players try to say that it seems as if I am some dangerously greedy goblin siphoning off all of their goodwill for profit, the answer is yes. I mean, absolutely, I'm doing that. Wouldn't you? Even if their first priority was to be able to play these video games, that option will be gone if our species is eliminated by alien beings from the fourth dimension.
Wait, so you are saying that the purpose of your secret slush fund is to build weapons to defeat some non-human intelligence hiding among us? What if that intelligence is literally the deity that some folks worship at church on Sundays?
It's a possibility, but would that really make a difference?